All right, everybody, welcome back to Diversified Gentlemen Tampa edition. We're back with a new guest. We got Correy Hodge, ex-military, special forces. No, not really. Ex-Air Force turned realtor. Gonna give us a story, a little bit about him. So, Correy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for letting me for your time and let me join you today to do this podcast.
Most definitely. Well, hey, just so y'all know real quick, hey, I've been knowing this dude for a long time, over a decade, say about 10, 12 years. He's been my host. We've been here. Really good. A personal taxi. Appreciate that.
And it's Uber driver.
Uber driver with no pay. Wait, tell me what you do. A little bit about your background.
So right now, I'm retired Air Force and decided to stay in Tampa and become a realtor. So just been doing that for 2 years now. Retired in March of 2019 officially, and I've been hustling ever since.
Good.
What did you do when you were in the military?
So when I was in the Air Force, I worked in medical logistics. What that does is it just basically supplies the hospital with equipment and medicine and everything the hospital needs to treat patients. So I always tell people, yeah, I'm medical, but don't pass out because I can't help you.
Can't do nothing for you.
And how do you transition from doing that for 24 years to selling homes and having families pick their right dream home?
So that's a huge transition going from the military to the civilian world, and on top of that being commission only, to get paid. Because in the military, first and 15th, no matter what's going on in the world, no matter what's going on in the economy, you got a paycheck sitting on your bank account. In the commission world, if you don't have any customers, you don't have no paycheck.
No check.
So thank God I did have my retirement coming in, because that saved me took me 8 months to close my first deal. So that transition, it was kind of rough, especially when you're, like I said, you're conditioned to have that accustomed to having that paycheck on the first and 15th.
Right. Was it always your plan to be a realtor though?
It was not my plan. So this answer would be more geared towards people who are like 5 years or less. They're in the military. They have like 5 years or less. Come up. You can't have too many plans for your future after your military. I had a plan A, and that was it. So what happened about a year before I retired from the Air Force, I did the networking, everything you're supposed to do. I network here in Tampa, rubbing elbows. Interviewed with this financial firm. They loved me. I went through the phone interviews, went to the in-person interviews. The company loved me and actually hired me conditionally. But what happened is they gave me the study material to be, because you have to have your license to be a financial planner. So they gave me the study material. And the first couple of months, I was having trouble. They're like, okay, yeah, don't worry about it. Everybody has trouble, so don't let it get you down. So I kept at it, and then.
That was Series 7, right?
Yep, Series 7.
Yeah, the hardest test.
Yeah.
Clarify.
So Series 7. So a couple months after that, I got orders to deploy to Bible. And I let them know, hey, I got ordered, I got to deploy. And it's like, okay, don't worry about it. Just take the study material with you. You can study over there. And hopefully when you get back, you grasp the information, the material better, and we can go from there. I was like, cool, I should be able to knock it out, by the time I get back. So deployed, studied my butt off for 6 months, made note cards, did everything, did the whole 10 yards supposed to study so I could retain the material. Came back from my deployment, started taking the practice test and just bombing the test again and again, just over and over. And they can log in and they can see your progress, see what you're doing. And my mentor at the time, he's like, hey, okay, just hang in there, don't worry, we're gonna get you going in the right direction. And I got back from my deployment in May of 18. Yeah, May of 18. And then by that point, the Series 7 material changed. The curriculum changed all over. So they was like, yeah, Correy, you're not getting the material. And I could tell because the guy had fought for me, because they wasn't supposed to let me deploy with the material. So he had fought for me to stay, in the program. And at this point, even his superiors was like, hey, Correy's not working out. So he called me up, and I could tell he was kind of hurt because he was in my corner, trying to get me hired onto the company. And he's like, Correy, it's not working out. We gotta let you go.
It's gone.
And this, now mind you, I went on terminal in November of 18. This conversation happened in October. So mind you, my plan A this whole time was to be a financial advisor. So going back to what I said before, you cannot have too many backup plans.
Yeah.
I only had a plan A. So he called me in October and said, hey, we gotta let you go. So then I hung up the phone and I sat on that couch and I was like, what am I going to do now? Because I had no backup plan.
You were hired. It was like
I was hired on condition that I had to pass all there because it was 3 tests. You had to take the Series 7, Series 65, and there was another one. I can't remember what that was. But they started you off with the Series 7 first because they know that's the hardest. So once you pass that, the other
pass
two
any of them,
should be good to go. So they let me go, and after that conversation, I just sat there on the couch like in a blah. I was like, scared. What am I gonna do? So at that time, I was still dabbling in the real estate industry because I wanted to flip houses just by following the HGTV trail.
That's it. Buy a house, fix it up, sell it. Easy.
So the numbers they was doing on TV, I was like, well, I can do that too.
Salamander farmer trying to buy $300,000 house.
So I was working with a realtor at the time because I was still in the military. I didn't have my realtor's license at that point. Working with him, trying to get information from him about flips, and I always had to wait for him. And at the point, I feel like I was, getting on his nerves, because I was always asking him for information about, houses on the market. So I decided, okay, well, let me just go get my own real estate license. That way I have my own, I can depend on myself. I'll have access to all the information for me. And then while I was going to start at school in late October on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then once I started taking the class, I decided, hey, learning this realtor material, why don't I just be a realtor? That sounds interesting too. So just took the bull by the horns and passed a class, because you got to pass a class first, and then you pass your state exam. And in the state of Florida, that state exam was a 50% pass rate.
Oh wow.
And I had the attitude like, I'm on terminal leave. I can't be taking this test over and over and over again. So I just buckled down and started taping, all the material so I could listen to it in the car, because I was still going to work. And I knew I was gonna be stuck in traffic. This is pre-COVID. So we stuck in bumper to bumper traffic, getting onto the base and on the way to work. So I would record all the material, the study material, and then I would listen to it while I was stuck in traffic. So just listen to that information over and over and over. And then
so you would actually read the text material, your voice, reading it, so you hear yourself reading it back to you audio.
Correct.
Yeah.
So all the key points that the instructor would point out in the class, I would highlight it in the class, and whatever I highlighted in the class, I would go back home and just record those highlights. So that way I'm hearing those key points over and over again. So I passed the class with flying colors, and then went to the state exam. And on the way to the state exam, I was listening to the tape.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that one of the questions that I had said on the way to the exam was on the test. So I was like, oh, I just heard this. I know this answer. Yeah. So I know I got one right.
So basically, you just more than prepared for this opportunity. You were just ready.
Right. Because like I said, I didn't have a plan B, so I was nervous. You get to that point in your career where you're used to that security. Now you're not going to have that no more. You're not going to have your, BH. There's no more money for your mortgage or your rent. Right. You ain't got that no more.
So what about, the advice you gave it for members who are transitioning within 5 years? Say 5 years out, you would have had taken your own advice. What would have been different? Or how do you think your path would have been if, no kidding, 4 or 5 years out, you would have would you have been taking certs then? Would you would have been, reaching out to companies and, seeing if they would hire you?
Yeah, I probably would have had like more options on the table. Like I was always, during my career, I was always a go-getter even after work. So I, got my bachelor's, got my master's. So it wasn't like I was completely empty-handed. I still taking advantage of the opportunity that the military gives you. I knew I had those tools.
You were desirable in the market.
Right.
Otherwise, okay.
Right. I mean, I know I had those tools, but having a master's degree, that's not a guarantee you're gonna get a job.
Right.
it kind of is just not the job you want. You know what I
Right.
mean? You may have a job you hate clocking into.
Right,
and,
there's people graduating every day, working for as a doctor or whatever, and they're working at manager at Sears
yeah,
somewhere.
punch in the air.
Right.
Yeah.
That's one thing too, man, about degrees that people don't realize. The degree itself not gonna get you that job. It gives you what's social mobility. It gives you an options. Like if you're going for a job, they're gonna check the box off. They're gonna say, all right, you got a certification, you got a bachelor's degree, you got a master's degree. They're never gonna check your GPA, the
Right.
classes you took as a master's degree. They're gonna know, did you get one? And they're gonna check your box. So it gives you that mobility. To
They
move
just want
around.
to see that you have
Yeah.
the ability to do the work
Right,
to get
right.
there.
I never had an interview somebody say, well, what's your GPA?
Right.
You know what I mean? Not saying that's not important, but the more important part is having that social mobility that you had. That way you had a fallback where, the financial advisor didn't work, let's say you failed the test. You know what I mean? At least you still have that to give you some mobility to
Right.
move somewhere else.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's pretty important.
How was that grind, the grind of the real estate, different from the grind in the military?
So the difference is, like I said, it's as far as like paychecks in the military, first 15, it don't matter in the military if you mess up in your job, you get paperwork, you get fired from some position, they just move you to another place. On the first 15, you still get your paycheck.
Yeah.
Going into the civilian sector, like I said, especially in a commission-based job, whether it be a loan officer, whether it be a realtor, or anything that works off commission only, you gotta get out there, you gotta get your name out there, you gotta network. If you wanna get paid, you gotta network and build your name up. The more people that know what you do, the more, the percentage of you getting customers goes up. If you're out there and you're kind of an introvert and you go to a commission-based job, you're gonna have to work, you're gonna have to grind.
It's gonna be that
You're gonna have
much
to grind
harder.
hard.
That's one thing where your effort equals your paycheck.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Military, you'll show up.
Yeah, you just show up to work.
If you show up,
Show up to work, just get at your desk, go on eBay.
Right. Never did that at work. Checking stocks at work.
checking your March Madness bracket on ESPN.
Man, I don't care who, everybody knows taking test to this. In March, no work got done. Everybody filling out brackets, checking stats. Man. So becoming a realtor life though, is there something that you target? Do you only target like high value homes, or does it really matter? What is your
So I target anybody who wants to buy or sell. I don't discriminate between price points. If you in the Temple market, if you $100,000, if that's your budget.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of brief the buyers that okay, this is your budget. This is what you're gonna get.
Right.
So you might want to adjust your expectations to the $100,000 market here in Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna be what it is, in Alabama.
Right. And nowadays, when people with technology, like people like Zillow and Redfin, people feel like they don't need a realtor no more. I can do it myself. I can do it for my owner. I can find this. I ain't gotta pay the commission. So what do realtors bring to the table for you to say that they need a realtor to get what they want?
You still need a realtor because even though you have access to the information through Zillow and Realtor, you still need somebody to draw up that contract.
Right.
And you need to know the ins and outs of the contract. So when you're in negotiations with a seller, you're not getting messed over because that seller has a realtor. That realtor knows the contract and knows the ins and outs. And
Right.
you're not gonna get that if you try to do it by yourself on Realtor or Zillow.
Right. Another big thing too, I think, is I value my time. Something that realtors can do very well is instead of me spending hours looking for stuff, I can tell you, hey, I'm looking for a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, with a pool, with this, and you can give me a group of houses that fit that criteria.
Right.
You know what I mean? That makes it a lot easier on that. So a lot of times you're paying for convenience, people don't realize that.
Right.
They worry about that, I want to save this 6%. But yeah, your 6% now is in your time you spent doing it yourself.
Right. And I want to say that in the state of Florida, if you're a buyer, you don't pay commission. In the state of Florida, the seller pays the commission. So what happens is the seller and their realtor, they decide, and there's no set commission rate. So they negotiate a rate, and then whatever is negotiated between that realtor and that seller, that realtor takes that commission rate and it shares it with the buying agent's realtor. So that's how that
So
works.
you're in Florida.
So if you're a buyer, like, I don't want to deal with a realtor because I got to pay them. No, you don't pay commissions as a buyer in the state of Florida.
Okay. Now I'm tracking. Cool. So let's say you could not be a realtor. some reason wasn't working out, the market was just bad, whatever, and you can choose your ideal career, would it still be realtor or be something else?
It would probably be something that, well, if I can't be a realtor,
You can't be a realtor, but you had your choice of any career.
it would be a football coach.
I knew you were gonna say that.
High school football coach.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, like because you know when we on the side football,
Oh, yeah.
I was always drawing up plays. And Jason, you go out here. And,
Right.
So I always had so that I think that would definitely be my second passion, trying to be a high school football coach. And I wouldn't want to pursue like going to a college level or pro level. I think I would want to stay at high school because that way, you know, you can mold young men, you know, young boys into young men, you know, because that's a crucial age right there where they're just figuring out themselves. They have social problems. They're trying to fit in. You know, I think I can help, you know, young men make that adjustment.
Right, that's pretty dope. You still can do that now.
Yeah, still good.
You still can do that now.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. All right, so where can folks find you? They say they're in Florida, they're in the Tampa area, and they want to get a house or a condo, whatever it is. How do they get over you?
So my phone number is 813-734-5582. You can reach me by, also I have a website that's Correy Hodge.kw.com. That's CORREY-HODGE.kw.com.
All right, sounds like a plan. All right, something we like to do at the end of our podcast is kind of leave the audience with something tangible, something they can take with them that they can adjust their lives or learn something new. I didn't mention it, but I also got a special guest host today, Jason Medina.
What
New
up?
York.
What up?
You can tell by the New York smooth accent he over
New
here.
York in the building. What up? What up? Queens, Brooklyn.
Yeah. So we're actually gonna start with you, Jason. Something you want to give the people, something you want to impart into their heart. Put you on the spot real quick.
All right. Don't be afraid to move into another area. Like one of these, you know, don't be afraid. Take a look at the area. If it's something that, you know, that you're looking to seek or something that's that you feel like a change, don't be afraid to take that leap. And you got Correy here that can help you, you know, find your way in certain areas that you're not familiar with. Based on the criteria you need, he can help you find what you're looking for. So don't stay stuck in the one area. You aren't from New York, but you know, I like to go check it out, find something else that that might, you know, bring about some new interests.
Yeah, and with anything in life, everything is temporary and inevitable that things are going to come to an end. And when it does, you just have to be prepared. So as far as any career, you know that it's going to, unless you unfortunately die in the job, you know that there's got to be life after it. So prepare for it, come up with a plan, bounce it off with a few people. It's always okay to go back, adjust the plan, but you got to be thinking about it.
What you got, Corey?
So I just want to say one last thing, and again, addressing the crowd that's about to retire in the next 5 years, or you know, just anybody in the military just that's going to retire. Manage your money correctly. Don't retire with a bunch of debt. That also happened to me. I had recently, right before I retired, I bought a house and I had a lot of debt because I was ordered all the bells and whistles in the house, so I just wanted, because this is gonna be my forever home. So we just went all out. Ended up running up all my credit cards. So when I retired, I had a bunch of credit cards. And the debt I'm talking about, mainly talking about is credit card debt. I'm not talking about mortgages, student loans, because those are more like they're debt, but it's investments, because those are gonna better you in the future. What I'm addressing more is like credit card debt, because that's not gonna add value to your future. That credit card, you're buying a thing, and that thing is gonna lose its value over time. And a year, month from now, you're not gonna know where it is. Mm-hmm. So that credit card debt it's poison. And what happened is, I taught myself living in the red, living in the yellow, and living in the green. What I mean by that, living in the red is when you have a paycheck coming in, you got a nice savings account, but when you compare that savings account to your debt is more than that savings account. So that's living in the red, and it's probably where most of us live. Yeah, we got the nice paycheck coming in, we got a nice savings, But when you look at your overall debt, your debt is more than, you can't pay off your debt with that savings. So to get to the yellow, you pay off your debt, and then you're looking at what you can sustain for like 3 months. You know, if you were to lose your job today, can you sustain yourself in 3 months, 4 months, whatever term you set yourself at? That's living in the yellow. And then once to get to the green, you've got that amount saved up. Where, okay, if I lose my job, I have this amount set aside where I can still sustain for this certain amount of time. You got that in the bank. Now living the green is whatever you have above that. This is where you can go to Disney. You know, maybe you can get those shoes. You know, that you want to still put on a credit card. You got the cash to pay for it. So that's living in the green. So I want to just emphasize: don't retire with a lot of debt. Your goal should be to retire and work because you want to, not because you have to.
Man, you preaching right now, man. That time thing is one of the biggest things. Is that I had a guy tell me one time, it's called Millionaire Mentor. He's saying your eggs taste different when you get up in the morning. If you got somewhere you got to go because of an alarm to a job, or you getting up to go somewhere where you want to go to make a difference. It's completely different. Your time is different, you know. So you talking about that makes so much sense. And a lot of folks out there, just you got to set it up. It's not gonna happen just automatically. Right. You got to be purposeful in that. You know, you got to have that plan A, B, C. You know, like Correy had that plan A. You know, it didn't happen. And then that panic set in, right?
Right.
But that panic got you on to do something else. You're just sitting and wallow and just like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, live on the street.
but you know, in the military, we're so accustomed to seeing a problem and then adjusting to that problem and finding the solution. So
right.
You gotta have that mentality when you retire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And do the math. It's okay to say, you know what? I'm not gonna make as much money as I was in the military. I'm gonna change my lifestyle. It's okay to say you cannot live that same lifestyle you were living at when you were getting a steady paycheck. It doesn't have to be being military. It can be whatever job that you're at, and some reason you find yourself not making that much money, make an adjustment. A lot of times what we do is we don't want to adjust our lifestyle to how it looks to other people, you know, or it feels uncomfortable. So we go into more debt to maintain that facade that we're okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that's a big thing people have to look out for, be careful for. So yeah, we'll wrap that on up though. Anything else you got for the people though? Any tips besides that big one you just gave them about not ruining your life and not planning?
I would say even for the people that's about to retire, that it's going to be a rough patch. It's kind of like getting on a plane, and you know you first get up in the sky, you go through that turbulence, and the plane's all shaky. But then after 15, 20 minutes, the plane smooths out. That's how retirement is, because it's you get that last active duty check, and then for about a month or so after that, you don't get anything. Especially if you don't have a job, you kind of just sitting there and kind of nervous because you don't know what your final retirement pay is going to be. You might have an idea, but you don't know what the final retirement pay is going to be, and you don't know what you're going to get in disability until after you're already retired. You know, you don't get your disability. You know, when you don't know what it is when you go on terminal. They wait until you actually officially retire, and then they give you your disability rate.
Right.
So putting those two figures together, you don't know how to, if you don't have a job in the civilian sector yet, or a second career going, you're kind of like sitting in limbo because you don't know what those figures are, and you still got those bills you got to pay.
Bills don't stop.
They still out there.
Right.
They're still out there with their hand out. They want their money. So long story short, it's going to be a short time where you're kind of like in limbo and you're kind of nervous because you don't know what the future holds. But retirement is so nice. When I tell you that plane smooths out, it smooths out nicely. You know, you're gonna. And when I was active duty and retirees would come and tell me that, I just kind of blow them off. I'm like, man, what is this?
Thing.
You don't know what you're talking about. You old. You don't know.
That's old lady, man. Get out of here.
But now that I'm wearing those shoes, they were right. Retirement is beautiful.
I think what it is, you work so hard for whatever amount of years, 20 plus years, and then you're done, but you're still getting a check in.
Yeah.
That feels good. Even set it up right. Some folks don't set it up right, and they got car note, mortgage, credit card debt, and half their paycheck, less than half. You think it's half, it's not half. You do the math, you find out you lose a housing, you got the taxes, SGLI goes away. The things that, you'll learn these things hopefully in taps, but a lot of folks don't know until taps. And that's too late to be planning. You need to be 5 5 years out. At the latest, I'll say 3 years, and that's like pushing it.
Right.
You gotta set things up, get things right, get things in order. Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for coming out, man.
Thanks for having me.
Keep us with us. I appreciate it. Reese had to step out. We're gonna close this. Anything else you got for the people?
No, I'm good to go, man. Some
All right,
good
y'all.
nuggets, man. Some good nuggets.
Yeah, definitely good. Make sure you guys like, subscribe. Make sure you continue to listen to us on YouTube and Instagram, and we'll be here. Right now, we're out. All right.
Thanks for coming through. Make sure you like and subscribe for more content. Also, ensure that you like us on IG. And also, you can listen to the audio version on all streaming formats like Apple and Spotify.